Hosted by Mike, the Big Cheese.
All right, welcome back to the Heavy Metal Mayhem radio show. We got a great march for everybody. We're kicking it off in a big way tonight. The guys from Blind Assassin, Kevin Jackson, Eric Tuttobene, and Evan Guest will be calling in. We'll talk to them about the old days of the band, and maybe we could kind of nudge a reunion out of them. Wouldn't that be fantastic? One of my all-time favorite bands, and I'm glad that there's this box set out right now, well, this compilation for people to get a hold of, because it really brings a new audience to that band. So much more we should have gotten out of them. We'll find out why we didn't when we talk to them later on. All right, well, you know what? The guys in Blind Assassin are going to be calling in a few minutes. We'll get on a tune by the band before they do. Here's the song, What Lies in the Tomb. I believe we have all the guys on the line. I think I got everybody connected. Evan, Eric, Kevin, are you all there?
Yeah, I'm here. This is Evan.
All right. It's like a feat of technology trying to connect 4 people together on the internet, I tell you.
Yeah. It's good that it can be done.
You're not kidding. I'm glad that I have you guys on here today. I've always been such a big fan of the band, and I've played the death that one demo tape for the last 30 years, and I'm so thrilled that we finally have an album, some new stuff to listen to. Put to the Sword came out last year, and it gives us a lot of stuff that we've never heard over the years. Before we get to that, why don't we kind of go back to the very beginning? Let's talk about how the band came together in the early days. Whoever wants to jump in, just go right ahead and start.
Well,
what's up, Kevin? You want to tell them? There you go.
I'll get started, and maybe you can fill in some blanks, Evan.
There you go.
I was out of high school and working to put together a heavy metal band that I had a vision for. Was working with musicians, trying to figure out which were serious, which were not. And I happened upon Evan, who obviously had some great natural talent as a bass player. And it was really important to me that I start playing with somebody of such ability. So I persuaded him to join, and later on we added Kenny Crystal as our guitarist full-time, who also saw the vision and fit right in like a glove. And as the three of us started rehearsing more regularly, we added Tony Michaels as our drummer, who was world-class, really.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, those were some good times. Yeah, go ahead.
And this is the lineup that recorded the first demo tape. Or was anything recorded before '86?
No, the demo tape was actually, I guess, our most polished recording, if you can call it that. And we only got a short amount of studio time, unfortunately. Everything that we've ever given you guys is pretty raw. And that particular demo tape the recording itself was done in 2 days, and then we were just mixing for a few days thereafter, and that's it. So, it would have been great to be able to be financed by someone and get a lot more studio time, but, what happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
go
ahead, Evan.
Yeah, Kevin did a lot of the financing. He had a good work ethic and everything, and really sacrificed a lot. I got to give him credit. I was kind of young and still partying a lot, but I was very serious about music. That was a redeeming quality I had that got me in there. Kevin didn't have to ask. It was pretty easy for me to go, oh hell yes, let's do this. So yeah, great memories of his faith in me. That was awesome, man. It really got me off to a great start musically. I just started playing bass actually. Go ahead.
Well, a lot of people forget back in that time, bands did everything on their own. I mean, you had to save up money, go into the studio. Most of the time, you young guys, you were kids. It wasn't that easy. The technology wasn't like it is today. So you kind of did the best you could with what you had, and hopefully, it went somewhere.
Yeah, with today's technology, and I don't know the full extent of it, but you can do things that sound amazingly professional that weren't even something to be considered back in those days.
Sure.
And as far as like trying to get something like that, you had to have a rich uncle or something.
It would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Today all you need is the Macintosh and Pro Tools or even GarageBand, and you can produce the most amazing things just sitting in your living room.
No, that's really true. Well, like the demo comes out, right? Where did the band go from there? I mean, did it start bringing attention to you guys? I mean, did people start noticing the band at that point in time? Were there a lot of live shows being offered to you?
Well, what was going on at the time was we were sort of a fish out of water in the area that we were in. They did not know what to make of all this because Motley Crue and Rat had been signed out of Los Angeles, and the trend started toward what everybody recognizes today as 80s hair metal. So, Warrant was signed, I believe, and we were getting in the clubs right around that time of after Poison was signed and Warrant and bands like that. and to step in as a European-influenced heavy metal band, playing real heavy metal, not bubblegum. It was kind of a shock to the system, I think, of people who were seeing us. Most didn't understand what we were trying to do, but the people who did were really, really passionate about it, and that was the really gratifying part.
Yeah. Did you find there was like a very I don't know how to, like a close-knit scene where people weren't accepted, open? It was very cliquey, and it was very difficult to break into certain areas, especially like LA, like you were saying during the hair metal phase.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they had their expectations based on what was being promoted and what was being successful already at that time. And once something had proven to be successful, they just wanted version 2, 3, 4 of that particular thing.
Very well put, Kev.
Yeah, no, it's true. But that has to make it really difficult. That has to make it difficult on a band like yourself who's got their own thing going on. And, you're trying to make a name for yourself out there. It's like every door is being shut in your face, I guess, is what it kind of feels like.
Yeah, I mean, the tape that you eventually landed in your hands, I'd really like to be able to sit down and have a conversation with that tape somewhere and ask, where you been? Because
exactly.
I put out a bunch of those to record companies, to individual magazines, sent them all throughout the United States and Europe, and just figured where we got reviewed, the profile maybe would boost a little bit higher, and hopefully somebody at a record company would hear the potential and contact us. But those things take time, especially when you're one amongst many, and like I say, not part of the cookie cutter formula.
That's true. After the demo comes out, Evan, you left the band not long after that. Is that correct?
Actually, I was in well before that. Actually, I think I'd been working with Kevin for about a year. We tried some other guitarists who were more into the party than. Actually, what I remember is they were more into the party and Rat Motley Crue, which fine, good for them. I don't hate those bands, but that's more stylistically based, and I just don't have a whole lot of interest in it. The thing is, we could just never get anyone who was real serious. I was always very committed musically, just because that's who I am. I'm a musician. It's really what I do well. The only thing I do well, it seems. And it was like a lifeline to me, once I discovered, hey, I could do more than play piano, and take piano lessons, growing up playing, classical stuff. I started listening to heavy metal, for, about junior high years, age 13 and so. And just gradually started getting into Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath big time. I just loved Dio era Sabbath. Just totally dug that, which was perfect because when I met Kevin, that was like his favorite. And we both just happened to discover Manowar about a year or two before we started working together. It was just perfect. Our chemistry was pretty much it was just very, very similar, our influences. So it was good timing. It was obviously meant to be, and to make some music. And it was good to find Kenny. We had some college guy playing drums for a while, who Kenny used to make fun of for having short hair, and he was a decent drummer, but he didn't quite fit in. I remember some of the jokes and us going, what do we do on stage with this guy? Where nowadays it would be an issue. It's just like, hey, people are people. But back then it was kind of an issue. It's like, hey, wear the uniform, man. But
I think, to answer where Mike was coming from, Evan was with us through the demo, and left not too long afterwards, and that's
there you go.
Replaced him with Cliff Belknap, who was a friend of Kenny's and a capable bassist in his own right. So that continued on pretty much as things were going.
Yeah,
and he was in the band for about a year.
Evan was with us probably
couple years, I think. I was
it
with
was
you up until about
years.
almost 87. I think I almost made it to 87. maybe even into early '87, and then just had my own problems. And was the guy who lived furthest away out South Bay area of LA. I was banished down there in some unfortunate circumstances, and yeah, some of it by choice. But you know, I mean, you recovered a little too late. I think by the time I got myself out of that situation, and Kevin had pretty much just said, "Oh, forget it." And all the time, but I
put something on record here. The band did not banish Evan. The banishment he's talking about was self-imposed.
Yeah, exactly. No confusion intended. Of course, I'm more of a storyteller here, so I'll get long-winded. Kevin will bring me back in here. Yeah.
Well, Evan's out. Cliff is gone, and Eric,
yep.
You come into the picture. How did you hook up with the guys?
Well, I had been living in Los Angeles for probably about a year, and had been checking out some bands. And the main thing I was interested in is I was from New York, and I was a fairly successful bass player, a singer, and I had the image. And I was looking for a band that had a record deal or was close to getting a record deal, and that liked to play hard rock. And I came across an ad in a magazine called Musicians Connection. I think that's it, or Music Connection. And there was just this great ad. It had a picture of the band, and they all looked like, they're ready to slaughter anything that came anywhere near them. And it said the ad said, we're looking for the heavy metal bassist. Must have long hair, image, rock attitude, and ready to, hit the road, something to that effect. And I thought, well, this sounds like the perfect, the perfect opportunity. So, I called the number, and it was Kevin, Kevin's number directly. And we got to talking on the phone, and before the conversation was done on the phone, we had same attitude, same ideas, same goals, and we were fairly excited to meet each other. And so brought my gear up to Upland, California, which, as Evan has pointed out, is nowhere near the South Bay, where I also live.
Oh, wow.
But I lived in Long Beach at the time. And, got together with Tony Michaels was there, and then George Ferraro was the guitar player. And we hit it off really well. My bass playing and my style fit in quite well with what they were doing. The first... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, the first thing we had done was outfit me with fur and leather, because I didn't quite have a collection of that in my closet. So after they said, we like you, we want you to join the band, Kevin took me to this place that they got all their stuff at, and it was this, I don't remember where it was, but it was nothing but dead animals from one end to the other, hanging on the wall. And,
that was handy leather.
Yeah, you just pick your dead animal to put on. So I got leather pants, and I got the fur outfit there, and, just got the outfit together, and then, the rest, well, you see the pictures. You see the final result.
Fur and leather in California. Yeah, wearing fur and leather in 100-degree heat in California. That was a good idea.
Yeah. It was something.
Well, you were talking about, being in Upland, California, and you were in Long Beach. And, today it doesn't really matter where a band comes from, it seems, because the internet connects everybody globally. And, people in any part of the world could find out about a band. But back then, where you came from was kind of key to how you made your name, because you kind of had to start locally where you were and play the local clubs and build yourself up and then spread out and get around. It was much harder back then. I mean, do you think if you had the internet or the ability the way you communicate with music is today back then, the band would have gotten further than it did?
Well, so many things are different now. It's really impossible to visualize exactly where it would have gone, but it certainly would have been different, that's for sure. We were really fortunate recently to be able to release this CD that you played a cut from just a moment ago. It's called Put to the Sword, and Manos from Cult Metal Classics and Sonic Age Records had evidently come across one of those same tapes that you did, Mike.
Yeah.
They're just floating around out there in the ether somewhere. And he was wild about it, And Eric had the foresight to preserve some additional recordings that were evidently boxed away in his fortress somewhere. And those very things became what has been released now, and the stuff that you're playing.
It's a great package, and also has a DVD with it.
Yeah. You know, we were very pleased with that. Eric had one of the shows, and I had one of the shows, and we, you know, pulled this stuff out and put it together. And he can tell you a little bit more, I think, about the actual contacts and how it came about.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those weird stories, like Kevin was saying earlier. You know, we'd like to interview one of the tapes and say, "Where on earth have you been?" But this gentleman by the name of Manos, who's the founder and I guess he's the producer of the CD there. He's over in Greece, and like, you know, as you said also, he was a huge fan of the band for years and years and years, and had been trying for years to find somebody in the band to get permission to release the 3-song demo. And that's what Cult Metal Classics does, is they specialize in finding unsigned bands from the 80s and giving them their day in the sun today, you know, in the 21st century. So I had joined Facebook. I have been anti-Facebook for years and years and years, but I joined it to promote my company. But my name is unique, Eric Tuttobene. I mean, there's not too many people named Eric Tuttobene on planet Earth. And so apparently he did a search one day just in his trying to find us, and came across my name on Facebook. So he reached out to me on Facebook and asked for permission to, or if I would give my permission to release the 3-song demo. And I said, well, I don't mind you doing that, but I actually have a whole bunch more songs that you've never heard, plus I have a video, and it was like Christmas Day for Manos. He couldn't believe that there was all this material that was preserved. But I also said, really the person you need to get a hold of is Kevin Jackson, because he has all the rights to the songs. I mean, he wrote them and copywrote them. But the thing is, Kevin's name, unlike Eric Tuttobene, the name Kevin Jackson is a little bit more common than Eric Tuttobene. And I had actually been trying to get a hold of Kevin for several years, and you know, it's just, you do a search for his name, and you know, I guess it's a more popular name than mine. It's just several people named. So it was the same problem Manos had, is, you know, how do you get a hold of somebody with, you know, with a more common name?
Sure.
So through this, though, this is what's funny, is that Evan somehow, and I'll let Evan pick up the story, somehow Evan heard about the conversation Manos and I were having, putting this together, and Evan is like, I know how to get a hold of Kevin Jackson. So let me turn it over to Evan here, and you can pick it up.
Oh yeah, you had that promotional video, and everything was already underway, and I knew right away. Hey, Kevin had already had me, you know, informed of all this earlier. So I thought, here's our demo, and what a great video, you know. And of course, when I got in touch with you, you were just enthusiastic as could be, and more than a gentleman. Just I could tell, you know, your motives were perfect for doing this, and you know, I told you right away I'll contact Kevin, and it just came right together. I mean, you know, we were both a little bit wary at first, but once we got talking to you, it was like, oh, this was great. Good. You mean people are interested? I mean, wow.
Yeah, I remember when I first got a hold of Kevin, you know, because Kevin and I hadn't talked in like 25 years. So I live in Nashville, Tennessee, and have lived here for almost 25 years. 23 years I've lived here. And then Kevin, you know, I get on the phone with him, and he's like, you know, yesterday I was living my life, just, you know, doing my routine. And now today, all of a sudden, I have a record deal. This is, you got to get me up to speed a little bit so I know what's going on here.
I've been telling everybody the strange thing is, when the past doesn't stay in the past, you don't know what to make of it.
True.
But it all comes down to Manos being a huge fan of the band, and being a relentless in his pursuit of trying to get a hold of these, ancient bands from the 80s. And it was a thrill for him to be able to do it, and he was true to his word and everything that he said. So we ended up then with 10 songs because Kevin had yet one more, the Leatherwing song, which is number 10. Plus he had the show at the Roxy, and I had preserved the show at the Gazzarri's. And then the other 6 songs literally were just on a boombox in the rehearsal studio, just the 4 of us playing. So it's one live track in the rehearsal studio is where those 6 songs come from, songs 4 through 9.
Yeah.
And, it's just, you don't ever think that someone's going to want to actually produce that and release that, but evidently it thought it was good enough.
Well, did you realize, how many people out there were talking about you guys over the years and interested in how many fans you really had? I mean, it probably came as a shock to you because you're saying, where were these people in the 80s when we were looking for them? But they've been around, from all over the country. And, you guys are like one of those cult underground bands that have never died out and people still talk about, 30 years later.
I had absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I know, it's bizarre. I've seen, I'm sure Kevin and Evan there can attest to the same thing. I've seen things on YouTube where fans have just had the single picture of the band and then the three demo tracks, and there's a few people on YouTube who put that stuff out. And then there's discussions about, everyone seems to be very polite and nice that they like it. No one says anything, negative. But evidently there's people out there that really, really like the band.
There's a very low underground following. And here's the $1 million question. It's been a long time, but people would love to see some sort of reunion with the group. Is it even a possibility, or have you guys so far moved on out of the music? I know Evan said he's still in music, but what about the rest of you guys? Is it a possibility?
I don't think that's anything that's going to happen, really. We are in different parts of the country, living different lives with different responsibilities. So also, there's a couple members of the band who would have been key and would have been contributing in some way or another who we have no idea where they are. So despite the broadness of the Internet and the reach that everybody has globally these days, there isn't a lot of connection with all of us. As far as the project as a whole, I would have known nothing about anything going on in the music world concerning Blind Assassin if it hadn't been for Evan reaching out and throwing me a little tidbit every so often, because I think he does a search for the name online or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And here would come some little clip on YouTube, maybe some kind of a forum somewhere where they were discussing us. And then later on, after I realized that there were things out there in cyberspace, I came across an archive of your show, Mike, and how we had been played a couple of times there.
Yeah.
And it blew my mind, because what you're talking about how it lives on, is completely, out of the unknown. It's just something that was never considered anymore. We just felt like we had done our damage to society, and we were going to continue on and just live our lives.
Well, I'll add that you did. Well, one of the first things that Manos had asked me was that, would it be possible, because he would be willing to set up a European tour for us. And I laughed and I said, well, that sounds like fun. Where were you 25 years ago?
Yeah.
Because as it stands right now, between the three of us, we have 2 bass players and a singer. I don't know what kind of a show that would be.
It would be unique.
Yeah, that would definitely be unique. Be like Single Tap, where, playing Big Bottoms or something. But anyway,
stereo, that's about it. Nothing around town.
If Evan was willing to sing, and perhaps Evan was willing to play bass, and they found a drummer and a guitar player, I'm doing my own stuff in Nashville here, so I wouldn't be available for the tour. But anyway, you guys have at it if you're called to do that.
Well, it's gotta make you feel good in a way that knowing that all these years later, people are still talking about music you put out back then that you thought wouldn't go nowhere. I mean, as hard as you tried, and it just doesn't die out. It lives on forever. And now with this album, a whole new generation of kids are hearing it, and they're going to be asking, "Where are these guys? We got to get them back."
Oh, what we really need is somebody needs to be a Blind Assassin tribute band. There you go.
There you go. That's it.
Don't start that now.
Let me tell you something.
Either I or Eric could produce it.
Yeah, we could go out and we could see us. That would be fun.
If it's ever possible, maybe between Eric and I, or I know. Here's the fact: Kevin won't admit to it, but he can still sing. I mean, he may not be able to do the screams quite as much, or as well. I'm sure in his opinion he'd agree, but I know he can still sing. He is a vocalist. I mean, that's just as much part of myself as a bass player he is as a vocalist.
Yeah.
That's who he is. And if I can ever produce something and collaborate with Eric, and we can all collaborate. I play guitar now. I've been playing guitar for 26 years, and as well as bass. I never gave up on bass, but a big focus on guitar and actually writing original music. If I can ever get the rest of my life situated. It's been a little rough the last year. I wouldn't mind actually taking a look at some of this material and producing it, getting something out there. So you have a maybe from me.
As a diehard fan, all I'm hearing is I've got a guitar player, a singer, and a bass player now. We're just looking for a drummer. That's all I hear.
Yeah. I mean, it's
well.
In Nashville, rose-colored glasses on there, Mike.
Hey, there's a lot of big festivals here and over in Europe that would love to have you guys. So I don't know. Think about it. It'd be fantastic to see that show. And if it's just a one-time thing, I'll fly to Germany to keep it true to go see it.
Hey, Mike, I wanted to give a shout out in particular. You mentioned in a previous show, I believe, Eamon O'Connor, who contacted you concerning us. I don't know Eamon personally except through Facebook, but he's obviously a really dedicated fan and a good guy. And so I want to say thank you, Eamon, for contacting Mike. We appreciate it. This is something that's a little bit off the beaten path for us, but it's like Eric said, 25 years coming.
Yeah. It really is. And guys, listen, it was great talking with you today. I got about 5 minutes, I think, left in the show. I want to get on one more tune from the album, but I can't thank you guys enough. And think about that reunion. You would make a lot of people happy. You would make a lot of people's year. If it isn't this year, maybe 2016, but it would be fantastic to see that. And, hey, thank you for all that great music you gave us. I really appreciate that we have more to hear of it now than we did before.
Well, I'll leave it at for the right price, I'm sure all of us would agree to get together.
I think it's probably just going to be airfare and hotel, but that's the way it goes today.
Well, anyway,
ever the negotiator.
Well, thank you so much, though, for giving us the platform of your radio show and for being a fan yourself. I'd love to hear someday how you ever came across the tape, because they are few and far between.
Well, back in the early 80s, I was a big demo tape trader. I had thousands and thousands of demo tapes, and one of my pen pals, those were the days when you wrote letters to people, when they put them in envelopes, you mail them out. They gave me a copy of it. They said, here's a local band, and I became a fan, so going on 30 years or more.
Oh. Well, thank you so much.
Just a little bit of trivia there, Mike. The song you previously played, What Lies in the Tomb, was the first completed, fully formed Blind Assassin tune ever. So that goes back to the very, very beginning.
Wow. Well, you know what? I'm going to play Assassin right now because that'll take us right out in about 6 minutes.
Okay.
Thanks again, Mike.
Guys, thank you very much. Have a great day wherever you are in the world. Take care, guys. Thank you. Blind Assassin is one of my all-time favorite bands. I love these guys. I'm glad that this album actually came out because it gives us a chance to hear more new music that we haven't heard over the years. So let's get on the song Assassin. I played What Lies in the Tomb earlier. Here you go.
thee now to your deepest day. My fist your frame embrace. into my hands. His spirit condemned. Trial by fire, die or be damned. Valhalla is close against it. Bury him while his body's still warm. Drive the nails in his coffin to be seen
Man, I love that stuff. Blind Assassin. It's so great to hear music by those guys, and hopefully we got inside their heads today and they will think about doing a little reunion tour, or getting out to do some of the festivals. That would be fantastic. And I have to thank Kevin Jackson, Eric Tuttobene, my paisan over there, and Evan Guest from Blind Assassin. I had a great time talking with all these guys tonight. And I got to send a special thank you out to Iman for hooking me up with the guys in Blind Assassin tonight. I think I'm going to make him the official show booker for guest. Save me the trouble having to do this week in and week out. So if you're looking for a job, it doesn't pay well. It doesn't pay nothing at all, Iman, but it's up to you.